Hello, I am sharing a journal make with you. I've just finished it. It is a tribute to a song that inspired me called by the name of Flowers by Samantha. I believe it's Ebert, but I could be wrong how you pronounce it. But I love this song and it inspired me to create this journal. It is 7.5 by 6 approximate size hardcover. I used a very old book board from very old book. I have original ephemera in here, a few makes of ephemera, not many. I took out a lot of my very old antique and vintage laces. Some are fairly new, but not much. I've beaded the side to match the flowers on the front, and lots of collaging. There's some skeleton leaves on the cover of this. Very scrappy in pieces. I had this tied, but because I tried to do this video before, I'm just leaving it loose now. This has a little sewn in area of a pocket, so something could be put in that. And these just lay on there so they can be taken out. This is very old, some very old doll clothing, and I've been using up a lot of my stuff. This could be adjusted in length, but I'm giving the whole thing. So let me put that at the side. And that is my cover. And she's on a lot of different layers, so I wanted her to be lifted up some. I don't know if you can see it in the video. Lace and scraps all over and ruffles. A lot of this is very, very old. And some antique buttons, vintage buttons. Very pieced, very scrappy. I love hanging loose things there to make it a little bit more on the grungier side. And I just used for my inspiration these flowers here in the color tones. So there's a little bit of everything and just some very bits of black as well. Okay, so there's roughly about 67 pages front to back. And I will get down to it. So I'm going to, in the description box below, I'm going to put the song that inspired me. I'm going to put the link to that. It's a YouTube video with the lyrics. So maybe you can, if you want to, take a listen to it. It's a beautiful song, and it's mostly about how we grow a lot in the valley, or God shows us things, and we don't really see that until we're back on the mountain. And we look down and we see that God taught us and God showed us things. And this is just a little notebook here that I've created. Just some blank coffee dyed paper, tea dyed paper in there. Collaging like always. This is very old too. Like always, I've done tons of collaging and of course my gesso. And this is just a picture of a hillside, and if you listen to the song, you will get it. And it's an old postcard. And I did some collaging back here in this little piece. This pin is so unique, and it's got a bar underneath it. And I just made this little sprig, this hanging, lots of layers on here. Some of it was super delicate, so I couldn't make a pocket out of all of it. If you know what I mean, it was just too fragile. So I did layer and do what I could with that. So here is a little piece I made. I hope you can see that. And it's a little fairy, and she actually has a little bit of a green tone in her dress, and I just love the way that looked with a little bit of pink there too. Little black bow, and it says flowers grow in the valley. And some very old papers. I used a lot of old ledgers, and this is her on the hillside, but she's up higher. And then if you just pull, there's some flowers down below, and that just goes along with the inspiration song. Open it up here. Old ledger as this piece, and some old eyelet, and just scraps of some cabbage dyed paper. So it's like the bluish gray. Little area here. I will have some different tucks that may or may not have things in it, like this one. I always give a little bag of extras, you know, to go with it. So I'm going to do that for anything that's not filled. So just to show you, that's a tuck. I have a rusted paper clip here, areas to journal here and here, here, and this little flip. Any digitals that I used, I'm going to try to remember to stick it in, list it in the description box below. Just the shop names. It takes me a while to look up. This one I did use, you know, I wouldn't say a lot, but I've used some digitals, and I just want to make sure that I give them tribute to the artist. And there's areas there. I backed that with coffee dye. And I added a little black bead here. And this here, and go like this. And that flips open here. And here as well. And this is a lot of different collaging here, a lot of my own papers. This was an original ledger here and here. I made this little tiny notebook here with some lace. A lot of the edges are curled. And I've supported the spine like I like to do. And it's not for so much as longevity as it is for the look and aesthetic of the piece, and that's what I like to do. And I've caught some flack for that, but it's okay. Some writing areas here and here. I have gessoed most of the prints and things, so you can write over that. I love this girl praying here, and I just have this embossed piece, and this is an original ledger piece. And if you look at the date here, it's like 1784. This is all original, and yes, I'm starting to share some of my obsession with paper, and that is all in French, and it is a greenish, light greenish blue, and I don't know if that's coming up. I guess more grayish green. And here is another little digital that goes with the theme. And this is an old remittance envelope that I've decoupaged some and collaged some. This is a very old French magazine, and this is from the 1800s, a piece of a ledger. And inside there is a little special snippet, and I won't show everything, envelope from 1896. And that's from a very old book as well. And I will keep some surprises, of course, for whoever does get this. This is the new, probably the newest stuff that I have, this ruffled piece here. And I don't make them all pockets. This is considered to me just a tuck, and it's open here, but it's not going anywhere, you know. I just didn't want to glue down every piece and make a pocket out of everything. I made this tag here, and this old receipt I've included. It's an original with just some more collaging and gesso, and you could write on top of that. And I've added this little rusted angel wing charm. This tag I've redone with some old magazine and collaged an old envelope here, and there's something inside of it, original ephemera. And I like this little tuck here with this little stock receipt from the 1800s. And this is the piece that lifts up. And I made it a band there. And see, this piece is curled here purposely. Some vintage lace with it, with one of the pages out of a very old fashion magazine, ladies magazine. Little receipt here in French, very old piece of lace here. And this clip, and I made one of my little mini books, and it's got a lady in the rain there. It can be slightly opened, but I wouldn't suggest trying to journal on it. Very old glass black bead, rusty clip here. And an image of a lady praying. This is a copy of one of my receipts, and I just decoupage. It folds out. Let me see if I can do this. She flips up, and then this folds out like that. I can put it in frame. There we go. And it has a little envelope with a few little goodies. This flips up this way and folds out. And there's areas to journal on that. And some vintage peachy kind of tone. This is a pink, different laces here. And a letter, a French letter from 1933, collaging in the back. This flips down as well. And it all just sits there pretty good. I don't think it's going anywhere. Made this pocket here for some vintage lace and a little paper pad with a piece of ephemera back there, original. And here's another tuck with a 1800s original invoice there. And I just liked how the colors all went together. Piece of applique on that, on some black paper, and I just liked how it turned out. And there's some peachy tan lace here, an image from an old book, and it's also on a piece of ledger. Now this was actually put on this. I obtained a really pretty ledger, but it had a lot of newspaper stuff on it for like somebody was making a scrapbook on the beginning pages, and she was one of the images that they had glued from a ladies magazine onto that. So I thought that was really neat. A tuck here, this lady in the rain, a piece of ephemera, and a little button card with a couple of buttons on it. A piece of ephemera here with a tuck and an image, and an old letter, and the letter is still in here. This is from the 1940s. A little envelope with some tickets in there. This is a vellum envelope. Little watering can drawing. Actually, my husband drew that for me. And that's an old piece of ledger here from a French ledger, and a regular ledger here from the 1800s. And this piece I made, I don't know if you can, there, it's kind of picking it up. So you're gonna see the rain here and little drizzles with some glass beads all around. And then I placed these little crystals, these teardrop shaped, raindrop shaped crystals on there. And I liked how it turned out. There's also a lot of texture in that. An old piece of ephemera there with a tea bag that I dyed, and it turned out just the smokiest bluish color that I just absolutely loved how it turned out, and I probably couldn't do it again if I tried, you know, one of those things. And here is the little French correspondence, and look at the littlest note on there. And I just thought, look at that writing. I don't think I could write that small. I don't think I could. And there, I'm gonna stick that back in there, and she flips down, and she's covered with tea dyed paper. And this is my purple page. It seems like I did all the colors, but they're all very soft and muted, and I don't think there's anything harsh in it. An old photo of some friends or sisters there. This was just a scrap, so I did end up putting it on there, but it's from 1905. And there's just I won't be able to remember her name because I'm on here. Edith Holden. There we go. And here I added this piece of onion skin because this is the only one I've ever gotten as far as an old postcard. And I'm not quite sure what language this is. And leave a comment for me and you can let me know. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not even going to guess. Am I? Maybe, I don't know, French or German, not too sure. Anyway, I think it's French. And these are actual dried flower here, these green ones. And then there's like these daisy flowers coming up there. It's just so pretty. Oh yeah, it is, it's French. Now I know. And a little note here on the back. And this is a tuck that I made here. And it'd probably fit a tag Here's a couple of pieces of old ephemera. This really pretty postcard. I love these people in there in the river, taking a dip or getting baptized. I don't know. And here is an old slip from I think it's from a hotel. So I'm going to put that back on there, and I just want to put that in there for safekeeping. And here's some old pieces of ephemera here. This lady here with an old postcard. And areas to journal there, and a little pocket. And I just liked how the colors blended together. And all gesso all over it. Couple of pieces here that are semi-blank that are good for journaling. Made a little snippet here and a little snippet up here with the word journal on it. Little tree charm, and I don't know if I missed any of the charms, but there are dangles hanging from anywhere, and if I missed any, you'll have a dangle on it before it's shipped. Here is a tuck piece of an old envelope, an old telegram here, and just the softest colors with some gesso over that. A sample card of a calling card here. It is very old, and that would be the piece that they had in their sample book. There's an area here. This one is a pocket, and I just put a vintage red bead there with a little key with a heart. And here, more collaging, a tag in this bag glassine bag that I altered, and a little dangle with a rusted dragonfly on there. Old ledger with just an old scrappy piece that I made. Areas here for collaging, and a little heart here. These are some more little red tones, and I added this piece of lace, and it is scrappy, like it's broken up in areas. Made this little tuck out of an old envelope with this, added this little old picture here and a piece of ephemera there. And here's another pretty picture of this lady praying on an embossed piece that I made, a little snippet. And that opens up. Here's a tuck for a tag here or a letter. And again, I'll have extras that come with this. A little, a lot of those very old magazines, they're newspaper-ish in texture, and they're Christian based, a lot of them. And they come with the cutest little poems, and I just love adding that to my journals. And this is a little old announcement card from 1925, and I thought it went really well with this. And open it up, this is a little snippet, and there is a little tuck area behind that, an old piece of ledger here, a little tag, and a little piece of ephemera that tuck right in there. Here's a piece of big piece of ephemera on this coffee dyed designed paper, and some old lace here, old postcard, and it's got I believe now, let me see before I say anything. Okay, it's not, I don't think that's a postcard. I think it's more of just I don't know, maybe a sentiment card. It has a little scripture on there in a different language, and I thought that was really pretty and cute. And this is one of my envelope booklets. I made some booklets. It was a different binding. It was a tab binding, and I do have a video for that. It was one of my lives, and I think I'm going to make more of this. This was an old from 1918 envelope, and it's got a piece of ephemera in that pocket here. Up here is a tag that can slide out and in there, and that's a really old envelope. And a scrap from an 1800 ledger, and that's a solid full piece that can be written on. And just some collaging here, and I coffee dyed some envelopes, and there's a letter in there and another envelope here, and that pulls out, and it has a piece of ephemera tucked in there, and collaged on the back in there. And then this piece is a rusted piece, and it's one of those really cool pins. And there's a key on there, rusted bow and a cross, a key, and then one of those tokens that say wander on it. I got that tucked in there. And this is a side piece. This is some handmade paper. I believe this was from Secret Mementos. And an airbrushed postcard. And it's really, if you can see, it's really dimensional. And it's got a letter on the back. And another little poem. This one's called The Weed. And then you open that up. And this has some, you know, this was super old, so I didn't make them into pockets, but I just thought they looked pretty on there. This thin eyelet, it's very fragile. And then the other pocket with a full piece of ephemera in this as well. Journaling page here and here. And I put an old piece of ephemera in there. This is a tuck, and here's a piece of onion skin numbered. And just a design right here, areas to journal right there. This piece comes down, and it has a little remember the moments tag, and it's all rusted. And I'm gonna tuck that back in there. And then this piece is from an old magazine, and I made a tuck and a little notepad here, and some collaging on each side. And this is a clock piece that I purchased, I think, off of Etsy, but I'll put it in the description box if I remember. And just a little snippet there. And this girl I fussy cut. Yeah, I fussy cut. Whoever knows me, they know I don't like to do it, but I did it for her because this is a grateful heart part, and she's praising the Lord. And little pieces of booklet and collaged in the background, and that is the back. Okay guys, I'm gonna put this up in my Etsy shop, and you can check availability. I put the link in the description box below. And thanks for watching. Have a great day. Thanks, bye.